Welcome back. We are back. This is A Rude Awakening. I'm Sabrina Jacobs. Folks, KPFA is a media sponsor for the 35th Annual Bioneers Conference that starts next week, Thursday, March 28th, and runs till Sunday, March 30th. For those of you who don't know about Bioneers, it's a conference of minds converging on how to make our world a better place with focus on climate conservation, progressive policies, and the like. And one of the featured speakers is Martin Bourque, and he is the executive director of Ecology Center, which is based in Berkeley. Now, folks who don't know what the Ecology Center is, it's been around for over 50 years, focusing on improving the health and environmental impacts of urban residents. Martin Bourque, thanks so much for being on A Rude Awakening once again. It has been too long. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's so great to be with you, Sabrina.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the Ecology Center and what they have been up to lately. We were speaking off mic, and it's been a lot of recovery from the pandemic, from the lockdown, and just uh, getting folks to come back together again around what the Ecology Center is and does. So talk to us about that trudge forward, up back up the hill.
Yeah, I think a lot of local organizations at the grassroots level are really going through similar stuff where the pandemic's over and after a long shutdown and, work from home and all of that, bringing community back together is been slow going. We have people who have changed their lifestyles pretty significantly and um, not necessarily out and about in the ways that they used to be. And so we're excited for Bioneers. It's a place where that happens and where people will be coming together from around the country. And it's just an incredible opportunity to network and meet people and sort of all the mycelial connections of the movement get stitched together, across all these different sort of topical areas. And the Ecology Center's been a part of Bioneers for many years. When they were in Marin, we did a lot of work with Bioneers on the greening of the event and really supporting the work to make the event itself have a smaller environmental footprint. And thrilled to have Bioneers in Berkeley now. Last year was the first year, and it was a really great event. Ecology Center itself is a 50-year-old organization, as you mentioned, um, founded in the run-up to the first Earth Day. And really, the idea is that every community should have a place where people can come together, get informed, get active, share ideas, and start things. Get going on projects that are have a local impact, but are globally minded. So we've been a local organization from the beginning and thinking globally and acting locally. And some of the core programs that have come out of that our curbside recycling program. It's the first in the nation, started in 1973, and helped to create recycling here in Berkeley and stitch together a network of recyclers throughout California and helped to pass the first recycling law in California that really required every city to have a recycling program and put um, zero waste and recycling and waste reduction, waste prevention as the solution as opposed to, say, burning waste. And so we use our local programs like the recycling program to inform broader policy advocacy work and use the opportunity that we have here in Berkeley with a very supportive community and a very supportive city council to try things out here locally and then see what works and then work to spread that more broadly.
That is wonderful to hear. Wonderful to hear. And there are a number of events that Ecology Center hosts. Talk to us about the upcoming event. This is I think it's the 23rd annual seed swap. Is that correct? Talk to us about that because I mean, it's beyond being fun, it's great. It's a wonderful way to meet folks that are first time farmers or seasoned farmers. Talk to us about that, Martin.
Yeah, it's just an amazing event, started by people in and around the Ecology Center. Really a good example of what I was just talking about of, people coming together in the community and seeing a need to be able to have open source seeds that are not controlled by major corporations or genetically modified industries, and to be able to collect seeds and share them and preserve heirloom seeds and preserve seed varieties that do well in our local ecosystem and our local microclimates. Um, and it was an idea well before its time to start a seed library that was really community based and open to anybody to bring seeds or to uh, come and take seeds. So it's sort of a bring, take, take, leave. Um, and it's not fancy. It's, a bunch of organized drawers in our resource center that hosts, all kinds of different seeds from flowers to food. And the seed swap brings together, really motivated, people get really excited about this event. And so it's got a pretty high energy and lots of folks come out for it. And It's got a really nice community vibe to it. In
Mhm.
seed libraries, in this iteration, were very few and far between. I don't know if it was the first or a first or something when it started in like 2001, I think was the first, or 2002. And now we're starting to see regular public libraries host seed libraries within, as public libraries begin, or are adjusting the services that they provide. Here in Berkeley, we have a tool lending library, and we're seeing, which is really amazing to have sort of a sharing economy being hosted by our public institution as a tool lending library. And that's now getting expanded to include kitchenware and other kinds of tools and equipment that folks might use beyond sort of the construction or landscaping sphere. And currently, there's a Councilmember Hahn has put forward a proposal to expand that to include things like toys and other kinds of things that we can share and don't, as a waste prevention strategy. So it's exciting to see seeds and seed libraries expand. Richmond has a seed library now, and we're seeing community groups that do seed swaps elsewhere. So it's exciting to see something that is spawned here and other places begin to get traction in the broader world.
Most definitely, most definitely. Yeah, with my virtual travels, I have come across a lot of folks, a lot of farmers in the global south who just only deal with heirloom seeds. And then you have places or organizations like the Gates Foundation has created this green revolution, so-called green revolution, where they're trying to force farmers in the global south, especially there's 12 or 13 countries on the African continent where they're just pushing these GMO seeds and harmful pesticides, and it's a battle. It really truly is a battle. So having the seed library there at the Ecology Center is definitely a plus. And folks, just want to let you know, by the time this airs, the seed swap will have already happened, but there will be another one. And that seed library is there for your use, just like Martin Bourque, Executive Director of the Ecology Center, has just stated. Bring some seeds, take some seeds. It's a wonderful setup. It truly is a wonderful setup. And also the website, ecologycenter.org, ecologycenter.org. And if you go to the first page, that splash page there, um, there is this resource, your path to zero waste. And talk to us about that. That has come a long way over the last 6, 7 years. Talk to us, Martin, about zero waste and how Ecology Center is helping folks get to that point of zero waste. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the Ecology Center first got involved in recycling very, very early. Coming out of Earth Day, it was one of the things that people could get involved in immediately and take immediate action. And at the time, lots of people said, "Oh, recycling, you're never really going to make a big impact. People won't really do it." And there were a lot of naysayers. And there were folks who said, "Oh, you're just enabling more consumerism." And what we've shown through our pilot project 50 years ago is that you start something small, you plant seeds, it can really take hold, and it can really expand. And while it's both a place where people can take individual action and work towards being zero waste in your own home, um, it's also become part of our state national policies, and now working globally on a international plastics treaty to try and reduce plastic pollution. Uh, it sort of spans that local individual to, flexing not just our consumer muscle, but also our citizen muscle, and getting laws passed at the state level, at the national level, that can really prevent waste in the first place, and do much better at addressing the waste that we are left with in more sustainable and healthy ways. And so the resources on our website are more geared towards individual action. We have a great app called Resourceful. You can just Google Resourceful and Berkeley, and you'll find it. And it helps you to figure out, like, other than throwing something in the garbage can, what you might do with a whole range of things, not just those, being able to see what is actually and isn't actually recyclable. So we do deal with a lot of wish cycling, where people put in things in the recycling bin that they wish was recyclable. This will tell you what is actually recyclable, and what we can actually sort and process. And our partners at community conservation centers are the ones who actually bale and market those materials. If we can't sort it and bale it and sell it, it shouldn't go in the bin in the first place. So it's a great resource to figure that stuff out. But also, like, what do I do with this old appliance? Or, is there someplace I can take this broken toaster oven? Or is there a fix-it clinic I can get involved in to do some repair on something, and keep it alive longer, so that I don't have to waste a small household appliance, or something that is actually pretty functional still, or that you have some deep affection for. Um,
Mhm.
we've got some great resources on the website. We also have a hotline, and take email inquiries to help people sort out what is and isn't recyclable, and how to move those things along that are no longer useful to you, but might still be useful to others. So, textiles and shoes and furniture and appliances, and all kinds of other household goods.
That is wonderful. Yeah, I'm taking a look at it here. Resourcefulapp.com/Berkeley /Berkeley. It's this is amazing. There's like an eco directory, which has advocacy and volunteering if you want to do that, do it yourself classes, just straight up education, energy, food and farming, garden, home, leisure, waste and recycling, water, sustainable products. And yeah, this is amazing, Martin. This is really great.
Yeah, it's the work of a lot of people over a very long time.
Yeah.
Accumulation of a lot of information, and keeping it all current is a big lift too. So shout out to our staff at the Ecology Center, who keep that up to date and moving forward. Um,
Mm.
I spend some of my time focused on the public policy aspects of it. And so, there's that individual action, which is so important, but also changing the rules around packaging for recyclability, and also just, one of the main changes over time in the recycling program, two big changes, is that, after the economic crash in 2008, 2009, newspaper just basically went away.
Right.
And on the one hand, that's great, that we're not using all of that newspaper, but and a great source reduction
Mhm.
thing that happened, but that was the economic backbone for recycling. That paper really had value, so it was a big change for recycling programs to go through to adjust and figure out how to move forward. Um, Obviously, the surge in cardboard with online purchasing
Mhm.
um, has made up some of those tons. But now we're seeing, shifts from cardboard into plastic envelopes. And those envelopes, often they have that recycling symbol on them, and they say, bring to the store or return, to Amazon or wherever. And, those are not getting recycled, and they are hard for us to sort and process, and we have no markets for those. So getting the public policy in place so that we can find the packaging that delivers the goods and services, but is not causing so much harm to our environment like plastic packaging does, is really important. And here in California, 2 years ago, SB 54 was passed, and this is a new approach to regulating packaging, where it forces the packagers to take responsibility for the end of life of their packaging. And it's the rulemaking is just happening this year, and it's moving forward pretty quickly. But it's requires all packaging in California to be recyclable or compostable,
Wow.
and requires the packagers to pay into a fund to help make that so,
Huh.
and to redesign their products accordingly. It also has a big reduction goal, both in terms of total tons of plastic packaging, but also in the units. Sometimes they reduce the tons, and the packaging gets thinner and thinner and thinner, and then it's harder and harder and harder to do anything with.
Mhm.
So both counting tons and units. But we should see some pretty significant changes in the way that products, goods, and services are delivered in California, looking to reduce the plastic packaging to begin with, and to prevent plastic pollution at its source, as opposed to
Mm.
trying to do another beach cleanup.
Yeah, yeah, those are getting old. They got old a long time ago. They really did. That is wonderful. So this is it's a test app, it looks like here. And let's see, there's folks, there's also a live chat, so if you got any questions, you can get in touch with the folks at Ecology Center if you have any questions. There's also a quiz, test your recycling knowledge. And you can get that information as far as where you're at and knowledge and recycling knowledge, and how you can further it, push it forward. Yeah, that is wonderful to hear. Making these companies take responsibility, for creating that island of plastic out there in the Pacific Ocean and elsewhere. For organizations, really, really quickly, because I want to get to what you're going to be talking about, get a preview of what you're going to be talking about at Bioneers. But Martin Bourque, Executive Director of Ecology Center. So this is a test project. Is this something that's going to be rolled out at a later date? Is there a partnership with the state of California to roll this out to other businesses?
Are you talking about resourceful?
Yeah, resource
Yeah.
resource.
This was a really cool thing. A local developer was a passion project for them. We worked very closely in developing the content for it.
Hmm.
I think there are maybe a couple other cities who've signed on and are using it.
Nice.
But that's really up to Resourceful to expand. There are some other good resources like it. There is Earth 911, which covers much greater geography, but isn't necessarily as locally detailed as resourceful. And also Alameda County's stopwaste.org has a good search tool that it covers, a broader geography than just Berkeley and the immediate surrounds. Um,
Wonderful.
but again, I think the local individual action is really important. It fits into this broader context. Through the early 2000s and 2010s, we had the American Chemistry Council and the plastics industry telling everybody that all plastic was recyclable. And they really pressed on this to get local recycling programs to accept all plastics. And in Berkeley, we eventually did that when we had a direct line of sight to a processor in China that we felt was doing a decent job with decent, certainly not, wouldn't have gotten permitted in California, but they had decent environmental controls, and this was in China. And that market fell apart pretty quickly. And so,
Mm.
all these plastics, the non-bottle plastics, they call them a 3 through 7 mix or mixed plastics. Many cities in California were exporting those overseas, mostly to China and Southeast Asia.
Right.
And there was some recyclable material in there, but a lot of it was getting dumped and burned. And so we've been really pushing back against that. We only process and sell here in Berkeley, number one and number two bottles. So that would be, beverage bottles, and then things like shampoo bottles or detergent jugs or milk jugs, number one and number two plastics. So all the other plastics that gets in our program gets sorted out and sent to the landfill. We'd much rather have it here in California in a landfill than being exported someplace where we can't see what's happening with it and be concerned that it might be being dumped or burned,
Yeah.
polluting somebody else's environment. Like waste diversion shouldn't be diverting it from our environment into somebody else's backyard.
Right, exactly, exactly.
So,
And that's the thing, it's really it has been confusing for a lot of folks, they just think that, oh, they see the little, the recycle emblem, and it'll be on some thin plastic, container, and it's like, "Oh, no, that's not recyclable." I learned from the Ecology Center what's recyclable as far as plastics are concerned. So, yeah, plethora of knowledge, folks. Ecologycenter.org, ecologycenter.org. So let's go ahead and close this out. Mr. Martin Bourque, Executive Director of the Ecology Center. Talk to us, give us a little preview. We got a few minutes here. Give us a little preview of what you're going to be talking about at Bioneers. And what
yeah,
date
so
you're going to
last year at Pioneers, we talked about plastic. We had a great panel covering what I just talked about with some activists fighting incinerators in Detroit and people on the front line of plastic pollution in Texas. And so that was really great. This year, we're kind of doing a similar approach, but focused on food and farming and food access to fresh fruits and vegetables. But really the session is called Seeds to Systems. And it's about this idea of really being able to take small localized projects and how do you scale them up? And
Mm.
so the Ecology Center has been working on this in terms of scaling up a healthy food incentive program. It matches federal food benefits, CalFresh, or what used to be called food stamps, at farmers markets across the state. And Minnie Foreman, who is our Director of Food and Farming, will be presenting on that program. I'll be moderating a panel with her and Javier Morales, who is the Executive Director of the Praxis project. And he'll be talking about similar approach, looking at soda taxes. So here in Berkeley, we passed nation's first soda tax, and that's been spreading. What does that look like to be able to generate local source of revenue from the soda industry, taxing the soda industry, and using that revenue to build health awareness, to work on health equity, to build the voice and power of local community organizations, and how do you plant that seed and see it grow? And then I've also got the executive co-director of the National Farm to School Network will be presenting, and this is just really exciting work that started with individual schools or districts trying to get local fresh foods into their school lunch programs. And that has really grown. We've done a lot of that work here in Berkeley with the school lunch initiative and cooking from scratch and bringing in locally sourced foods here in Berkeley. But it's happening all over the nation and has really blown up. And some of these programs started out, like I said, as individual community-based projects, and now have these big networks and are getting state and federal funding and becoming nationally recognized and built into our systems now in school districts and in with state funding.
Mhm.
We're currently fighting a battle to try and save funding for this market match program that matches nutrition incentives, matches food benefits, CalFresh, EBT in
Mhm.
California. And the governor has proposed to cut funding for that program. And so we were just yesterday doing a big lobby day, trying to turn people out. And we talked to dozens of legislators to keep that funding in the state budget for next year,
Sure.
even though there are significant cuts coming down at the state level.
Mm.
Um, and
Mhm.
so this session at Bioneers is really covering, how do you take that seed and grow it into something that's substantial and significant and long lasting and has an impact at scale.
Absolutely. Well, it's about the constituents, I mean, the pre-budget that came out at the beginning of the year, significant cuts to uh, climate, huge cuts.
Yeah,
That
California prides itself on being, really
right,
supportive of the social safety net. And
right.
many of the safety net programs were protected in that initial budget proposal that the governor put out in January.
Mm.
But this one, because it lives in the California Department of Food and Agriculture, didn't get lumped in with the other safety net programs. And so we're really fighting an uphill battle to protect it.
Well, we'll see what happens in May, and yeah, just keep up because that's when his final comes out. And yeah, and then it's supposed to go to what go to the Congress, state Congress, and go through that whole process. But yeah, lobbying efforts and folks, it takes people like you. You are the constituents. We are the people that vote these other folks in, and let your voice be heard and show up at the ecology center and check out what they're doing, check out their website, and become knowledgeable of how you can activate yourself, activate others in your community, come together and make a better world, make a new world. What day will you be doing your thing, Martin Bork?
Yeah, Saturday, March 30th, we have a 4:15 session, and it's going to be a great set of panelists talking about how to start new projects and scale them up. But the whole day is going to be pretty fantastic. The Pioneers does the plenary session at Zellerbach, and it's thousands of people in an amazing space with really incredible speakers, very inspirational and just very cross-sectional. It just covers so much ground and stitches together all these different threads and various movements. And it's just an amazing conference to be part of.
Most definitely. So at the top, folks, I said March 28th, Thursday, March 28th to Sunday, March 30th. It's actually Saturday, March 30th. So Thursday to Saturday starts next week. Bioneers 35th annual conference. And Martin Bork, 4:15, he will be there with an amazing panel talking about food and farming and food accessibility and everything under the sun in regards to climate as well. Martin Borg, thank you so much for being on A Rude Awakening. once again. It's been too long. I definitely will not let so much time pass. Definitely want to talk to you again in the very near future. Thank you so much.
Great to be with you today. Thanks a lot, Sabrina.